Okay, so just so we can get this out a little bit, tell me what you think, make changes if you want. I'm gonna go through the 20 questions that I sent you all a little bit of. So we've got the Kenn. What is the surrounding area known for? It's New York City. It's loud, it's dirty, it's unfriendly, and the greatest motherfucking city in the world. Any additional thoughts? We love this.
Correct.
Cool.
They don't give a shit about the goblins.
They don't. That's addressed in some of these other questions too. Oh boy, how big is the Kenn? Somewhere around 50. They don't really know they're gobos, not census auditors. How does the Kenn stay hidden? Is everyone cool with that? Somewhere around 50.
Yeah.
Well. How does the Kenn stay hidden or safe? They don't bother staying hidden anymore. They've been driven from park to park for some time, and they ended up in Central Park in like the aughts. And they figured it's people in the area figure that's a good enough place for them to be if they're gonna be somewhere. They let them be. Okay, we've got the living quarters. We don't really have like a description for them yet, but after having a little bit of talks, original thoughts being like the cloisters or whatever, we ended up on the Belvedere Castle in Central Park. So we're in Central Park.
Great. Okay.
And we're like near the Delacorte, where maybe you got your inspiration and love of Broadway.
Shakespeare Summer Nights.
I love the idea that perhaps you also maybe are hidden in the Ramble very often, the most chaotic part of all of Central Park. Everyone knows that. It's right here, so the Ramble is psychotic.
It's a bunch of interconnected little like hiking paths.
But it's all elevations and like you can't, like, these don't actually connect. There's like very well.
It's like how much path can we put in the smallest amount of space?
With really, really thick vegetation too. So it's like very
It's gorgeous, but yeah, it's so like confusing, and you'd think like, oh, I can just cut through this area. You cannot. That's important to know about that zone. So that could be a fun place if there at some point we had to venture through it. I don't think that's happening today based on what I rolled. But yeah, that also maybe that's where you find some of your pigeon friends.
Yeah, I feel like that
such
between
a chaotic
that
area.
And the big fountain, Bethesda Fountain. I feel like I'm like
absolutely
like I'm between there and Bethesda Fountain.
So like yeah, you end up venturing out and kind of doing your own thing a lot. But you still are part of the Kenn. And I figured in, like, it's Belvedere Castle, but, like, you guys live in the rocks underneath.
Yeah.
Like, you've, like, burrowed is what I've imagined.
Okay.
So, like, your
hobbit holes.
Yeah, little burrows.
Like where the turtles come out. You can also see the goblins.
Yes, because the turtle pond is right there. So that's, like, your general home base. In between, you know, the Met and the dinosaurs.
Can I live in a little tower of it?
Yeah! You can have major little like place, or at least like that's where you go if they can't find you when it's nighttime burrow time. You're up there, like that's where you've made your study.
That's where I've put all of the literature that I have collected.
Yes, done.
I'm creating a little goblin library.
I think Nicholas like just stays under the stage in the Delacorte.
I figured that would be. Yeah, there's a really beautiful area on one of the terraces of the castle that you can like see into the Delacorte.
Yeah.
So that could be like where you got all of your love for that. I love that so much. So we've got the Kenn can't provide for itself what? So the idea is that they're generally scavengers. So rare ingredients, first aid materials, things like that. They're just kind of scavenging around. What does the Kenn provide to the area? They have like their internal jobs that they keep things humming along in this area for themselves, but they also do like messenger type jobs in the city, like run around and like help people in the general area, maybe act as guide for that middle area of the park. How is the Kenn's presence felt outside? They're like Pizza Rat. Fun for a viral video, but distressing to most humans.
But the true New Yorkers will turn up for them.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Pizza.
What? I rolled for the Kenn Leader. We can also change any of this, but I ended up rolling for Anga the Spherical, which I love. So that's who our Kenn Leader is. And unless you have something else that you would want to do, I think it would be interesting if y'all aren't necessarily You can be, depending on the character, but Anga is very proficient in writing and reading English, which is a particular skill among some of the goblins that helps.
Cool. Quimble cannot read.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Some of you probably can do a little bit. I think you've learned how to write your name, at least, right?
I'm at a 5th grade reading level.
Yes, that's so great. Okay, great. You've been doing your Hooked on Phonics. Incredible. We've got, do the goblins have any useful quirks or adaptations? And we've got a fun idea, which is that they're very good at navigating crowds, like a bit of a hobbit slipperiness. They never get squashed. And much like a cat, like with the high buildings, the whole thing is that there's also a rule built in to the game that they cannot die. A goblin cannot die from some injury. They can die of natural causes after a long, chaotic life, but they do not die from an injury. They could fall from the top of a skyscraper and they'll bounce at the bottom. So the idea is that they're going to always land on their feet like a cat. I don't know, like, you know how like some things can fall and never reach like death velocity? Thank you. So they're just like, and then like land nicely. So yeah, that's the goblin situation with them. What originally attracted the Kenn's founder here, not so much attracted to Central Park so much as like driven from park to park and eventually left alone.
Oh my god, okay.
And so it's the Great Migration of 2003.
Yeah,
Some of the elders remember that year of moving to Central Park, but a lot of the youngsters have adapted.
Oh my god. The Great Migration. Okay, Great Migration.
Of 03.
Of 03, okay. Oh my god, just like they were displaced? Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So okay, little goblins.
They're doing they're great.
All the pigeons came with us though. It's all the same ones.
It's the same pigeons, correct. They've lived since the 1900s as far as Quimble's concerned. Then we've got our outsiders opposed to the Kenn. Why are they wrong? Big money and developers hate the Kenn, obviously, property values, blah-de-blah. But the goblins know that they're just jealous of how much they really embody the spirit of New York City with their plucky spirit and infinite hearts. Yeah. Who is the most popular gobbo? One of the most popular gobbos in the Kenn is Burlap.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to just outright claim that, but I feel like Burlap, because Burlap is described as harmonious and hungry, I think Burlap is really good at resolving, like, Burlap is a really good mediator, like, really good at resolving any, like, tiffs or any difficulties that come between members of the Kenn. I think Burlap is, because Burlap is vibes, like, no thoughts, just vibes.
Yeah, I put good vibes only.
Yeah.
Disposition. Often the mediator, sucking down conflict and leaving the air clear.
Exactly. Burlap eats conflict.
Yeah, they're great.
Breakfast. Yeah.
Who is the smallest gobbo, and what are their importance? It's the kiddos. We've got Roz, Erd, and Wold. They're the children in the future, and the children are the future, after all.
Aww.
Oz.
What are their names?
Roz, Erd, and Wold.
Aww. So R-O-Z.
Yeah.
What's the
Erd, U-R-D.
U-R-D.
And Wold, W-U-L-D.
Poppy spends a lot of time reading to the kids.
Aww.
You gotta get him hooked on learning early.
Does Poppy like the Warrior Cat novels?
I don't think Poppy can read them yet.
That's
the 6th grade reading level.
We're getting there. Are there any non-honorary goblins that live in the Kenn? It is a bit of a tight squeeze under there, but I think that there's a bunch of dog runs and also like stray animals. So I think there's some stray cats and dogs that hang out with them, and they also just like absorb any stray animal they can find. So like that's just going to be part of their vibe.
This was my question. I said, Bob doesn't know. Bob, if you live with the goblins, you're a goblin, Bob.
Bob cannot tell the
Quimble doesn't know. If you live with the goblins, you're a goblin, Bob.
Oh, okay.
But it was like somewhat answered in other questions as well. So I was like, yeah, there's like animals, stray animals around. It's great. Love that. And then we've got the what is the most prized and valued possession? They once found these things. They're called, the Kenn calls them spring strings. They're very useful in many applications. You can tie your vegetables together with them. You can keep your ears out of the way with them. You can use them.
Hair ties. The rubber bands.
I think this might have been mine. I
ties.
was like, I love the idea of them just
they're
having
hair ties and
scrunchies that they
They're spring strings.
Spring strings.
Incredible.
They can tie their ears back.
They often will go to the Great Lawn and see if any young ladies will give them some that they see on their wrists.
Oh.
I think they just like ask very often. We've got, okay, so what is the best gossip right now in the Kenn? Do we have any hot goss? Do we want to add any hot goss? Do we want to create any characters together that we know are going to be the subjects of the hot goss? We don't have to.
Yeah, who's currently beefing that Burlap has to deal with?
I was gonna suck up that.
I wonder how people feel about Poppy taking a job that's not in the park
Ooh.
and having to go to the library.
To the library, yeah.
Yeah.
To
Like,
the
it's one thing to run an errand, but she goes every day. And we're so worried for her. She's so small.
I don't want to,
so
I
small.
hope if I can blow up your spot just for 2 seconds, which is that this was actually a Phoebe question too, and she was like, I don't gossip. Poppy does. Oh no, but Poppy doesn't gossip, so
Yeah.
Poppy couldn't answer this question. But all of you are like, it's Poppy, it's Poppy.
It's the source of gossip.
Hell yeah.
That was fully me. I thought everyone was answering the same question, so I was like, "Oh, Poppy wouldn't know anything about that. It's very mean to talk about people behind their back."
And they're all talking about Poppy behind
All
her
the
back.
time.
Poppy is the source of gossip, but Poppy does not gossip. Yeah.
Great, it's Poppy.
Damn. That's
Also,
so rough.
canon, Nicolette has a huge open crush on Poppy.
Oh yay!
Poppy has no clue.
Of course.
Everyone else knows.
Oh my god, okay.
Okay, and then we've got 3 last things, which is the Kenn's age. The Kenn has been around since like the early 1900s.
Okay.
Have been moving slowly but surely, but they feel confident that they'll be able to stay in this location as home at this point. Especially with the rise of camera phones, they've just decided they're not hiding anymore. Mm-hmm. I think maybe too that they were a little spooked during the 2020 kerfuffles, and they didn't know where everyone went, and that's maybe part of what like people discovered them, because they were like, where is everyone? It's so quiet. Mm. And they've popped out to look around, and that's
Just a bunch of goblins walking down the empty streets. Like, what happened?
To the Kenn field trip to Times Square
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yes.
in like March.
Which was like truly the worst day of Nicoleff's life, thinking that Broadway's over. Yeah.
It really was. He was really excited to be there and be able to like see all the marquees, but they were all dark.
Yeah, there was discussion too that like the Kenn had purchased a single ticket to Wicked, but like and they thought that was going to be good for everybody. And I think maybe that ticket was also like during quarantine. They didn't realize they were going to have to reschedule. So like they still haven't gotten to go. But they're really excited to cash in their one ticket.
How many of them could cram into a single seat?
Well, I was gonna say, how
trench
do we
coat.
feel about how do we feel about whenever they go out on the town? They're all just like in a trench coat or like in like one outfit. And like one of them is the head.
I think if they're trying to like there's like we're doing a thing outside and then we're doing a thing that like only a tall person can do.
Yeah.
So not all the time, but
Yeah.
like they've gotten fairly proficient in it.
Yeah. Like if we want to go on a roller coaster at Coney Island.
Yeah.
It's so dangerous.
Oh my god.
Okay, staple foods and delicacies. Staple foods, hot dog buns, pizzas crusts, and they season everything with the little packets of sauces you get from bodegas. And then we've got a rare delicacy, the Subway churro.
Amazing.
So yeah, cinnamon sugar might be a real trigger for the goblins.
It certainly is for Burlap.
Group activities, things that they do for work, for fun. They often do with 3 kids in a trench coat to go walk dogs. They love dogs.
They're so large.
It's just
So large and friendly.
Being dog walkers.
Okay, great. Everyone happy with what we've developed for our Kenn?
Yeah.
So happy.
Amazing.